47. Yay! Yay! Okay, so it's MiniFFC, form, function, and class. It's organized all the time by PWTO. And just for today, WordPress user group Philippines also helped out. Yay! And for the nice venue, the really nice venue, we've got Clock-In. They're the sponsors. This is the first time I've been here. It's very nice. Yeah. Also, it's so nice that they won Coworker.com's 2018 Members' Choice Award for Taguig. So, kung working kayo dito na muna. Panalo na eh. Okay. So, we've got Miss Cam Santos, the community manager, to talk more about.
Hi guys, good evening. I'm Cam Santos, the community manager of Clock-In BGC here in Bonifacio Technology Center. And Clock-In BGC is of course developed by our master planners here in BGC, and we are more than welcome. We are really welcoming a lot of our startup industry and members here because we believe that not just that we offer a conducive workspace, but of course the support that the startup community really needs right now, and that is the knowledge on how to put up your own big idea outside the market. And that's what we really want to show with what Clock-In BGC is compared to other co-working spaces. And of course, the usual services that we have is our hot desking areas, or co-working areas where you can work and of course get our unlimited coffee, which is the bloodline here in Clock-In BGC. So you can just go and visit our pantry. So when you go here, it's a hallway. It's just straight ahead, last right, and first left. You can taste our coffee over there. And of course, use our Wi-Fi connection that is part of our hot desking services that we have here. And of course, the area that you are in right now is one of our event spaces, our digital library, where we are welcoming our startup industries to use this space as their seminars, workshops, and also, of course, mixers for whatever event that they have. And we are really interested in, of course, welcoming to all of the community that we have right now, to different industries, to come and check out Clock-In BGC, not just here in Bonifacio Technology Center, but also in one of our newest locations in BGC, which is in Bonifacio High Street. And that one is the newest and coolest, hippest area in that side of BGC, because again, it's new and it has really cool equipment when it comes to meeting rooms, if in case you guys need it. So if you have any questions regarding Clock-In BGC, just definitely go up to me, or you can ask Kit for my phone number in case you guys need an event space or whatever you need for a co-working space. So thank you so much guys for attending this MiniFFC sponsored by our Clock-In BGC. Thank you everyone.
Okay, so next to speak is Andrew Garcia. He's one of the organizers of WordPress user group Philippines, which I'm a part of. I just don't have the shirt. Yeah, not today.
Sparta.
Yes.
How do I get the money? So I see. Okay. I will not have to. Okay, I see. All right. Hello, folks. Hello. Okay. Oh. So, oh, touch me chair. So, hello. I want to oh, yan. Yon. Hey. Thank you, kid. Hello, folks. I'm Andrew Garcia, as mentioned by Kathy. I'm a co-organizer for WordPress User Group Philippines, and I'm here to do a 5-minute talk introduction for our group. As you can see here, this is Salakot Wapu, very Pinoy. He has the thing, and he's hugging the Philippine flag because he loves being Pinoy very much. We are WordPress User Group Philippines. That doesn't show the link there, but you can probably search for us by just looking at the keywords. Greetings! So we are a passionate community of WordPress users, designers, developers, and we come together to share our knowledge and experience in WordPress. Does everyone here know what WordPress is? Yes? Of course, Mom Janette knows about WordPress. It's a platform, a content management system that powers 1/3 of the internet. chances are, if you've been online, you've probably seen a bunch of those. One of those is PWDO, I think. Tama ba, Kate?
Yung onboarding site namin.
Your onboarding site is powered by WordPress. So I'm going to do a small talk about our humble beginnings. This is our first logo. This is Thug Life Wapu, back when we didn't know what the right side of the flag was. Okay, so we had our first meetup at a KFC branch somewhere in Makati. And only 4 people showed up. One of them showed up once, tapos hindi na namin siya nakita. It was, I don't know. That's Carl, by the way. He was late for 45 minutes. Yes. And we only had money to buy one fry. Nag-share lang kami. Hello, please come in. To a short introduction. So, just 4 people at a KFC branch. That's the best that we can do for WordPress. But we in our group, we believe in one thing. It's not where you start, but where you finish that counts. And so we started to get to work, doing free meetups like this. We got the sponsorship from Microsoft and Mozilla. And eventually we were able to, 6 months later, come up with the first WordCamp Manila that has been gone in the Philippines for about 6 to 4 years. We were able to revive it. A year later, we went from 4 people to 300 in iAcademy for WordCamp Manila 2017. That's pure hard work from all of our volunteers and our leaders here. Some of them, like Kit and Sophia, also helped us out. So from 4 people, we now have 6 regional teams from Davao, Cebu, Iloilo. And this year, we're having our first WordCamp outside of Manila in Iloilo, August 25th. So if you guys have time, fly over to Iloilo, it'll be fun. And just as we grow, as our community grows, our passion to help our members and our volunteers grows with that. And I'm really here to invite you guys to one of our newest events, Speakers Bootcamp, happening on Saturday. It's not about WordPress, it's not about technology, it's about the other half of the technology equation, the human side. We're going to be training people who want to aspire, who want to aspire to be speakers, who have something to say but are hindered by shyness or fear of public speaking. This is your first step towards becoming a technology leader. It's being able to communicate clearly to your audience. So that's what we're after. It has a limited seat, but I'm formally inviting PWDO to co-sponsor the event so we can have more attendees coming from web designers. And that's my spot. Thank you very much.
Okay, so for the first talk and the introduction also to the Philippine Web Designers Organization, we have May De Leon, who has over 10 years of experience, primarily in content development for web and mobile. She is also one of the co-founders of Philippine Web Designers Organization. Hi.
Hi, sorry, wala akong, sorry. Meron pala. Thank you, Kit. So, hi, I'm May De Leon. I'm one of the co-founders of Philippine Web Designers Organization. And we are a non-profit, grassroots-led organization. We are one of the first groups who sponsored or produced a web design conference, not only in the Philippines but in Asia. And so to accomplish this, we volunteer our time and talents to organize conferences, meetups, hackathons, workshops to sharpen the skills of Filipino web designers and developers, from students to professionals. So yeah, that's Philippine Web Designers. So I apparently can't use your laptop. Thank you. Thank you. So last year, we launched a State of the Philippine Web Design survey So now let's take a look at what it says about our community. So 85%, the number of respondents increased by 34% from 85 last 2016 to 114 in 2017. I know it's not ideal and the number is very, very small. So, just share once we give the link to the survey later. Please share away and bully your friends so they can participate. So 97 of our respondents are professionals, which is not surprising. However, compared to 2016, our number of students have increased dramatically from 18 to 13, which is a significant rise. And it's not a surprise that the top 3 areas of study of our students are information technology, engineering, and the arts. I know some of the web designers before are also communication related, took up communication related courses, but apparently it's missing now because the other courses are humanities, sciences, management, and social sciences. Majority of our professional respondents are employed full-time, but the number of freelance respondents shot up by more than 200% from 15 to 60. Part-timers also increased a lot, 19 respondents from 2017 from 1 in 2016. So as you can see that the top 5 job titles are developer, web designer, designer, user experience designer. And what's surprising is in 2018, there are still people who refer to themselves as webmaster. And there are 9 people who replied, who said that they are educator. And we hope that that number increase because as our industry grows, our industry is very fast-paced. So yeah. For the expertise, the top 4 are HTML, CSS, design, and JavaScript. And surprisingly, there's still some information architect as well. So most of the respondents belong to organizations either with less than 10 people or 151 or more. And as for the roles in the organization, 22% are mainly designers, followed by the unicorns, a little bit of everything, and full stack developers, front end, and the echelons, team lead, managers, and co-founders. Almost half has a salary of 20,000 to 40,000, and while 12% would rather not say. So I suppose they earn more than 200. Age. 46% of our respondents are between 18 to 25, and there is 1 who is less than 18. 32 people are between 26 to 30, and 18 people are 36 and up. And 17 people are between 31 to 35 years old. The gap between males and females has lessened considerably between the respondents from 2016 and 2017. It went from 66% in 2016 to 41% in 2017. More than half of the respondents are from Metro Manila. 18% are from Southern Tagalog, followed by people from Bicol, Central Luzon, Central Visayas, Northern Mindanao, and Davao region. And that's a wrap. Please answer this year's State of Philippine Web Design by going to this bit.ly link, SPWD 2018. And thanks for listening.
Yes po.
This one, yung introduction with that with just introduce yourself.
Jelvin, ito na kayo.
While they're setting up, let me introduce the next speakers. So you'll meet Jelvin and Nica. They're from Make Technology. It's a subsidiary of Sachi and Sachi, the Design-Led Innovation and Technology Thrive Foundation. So their focus is on user experience and integrating principles about the future roadmaps. This is an advertising brand. Is it?
It's innovations and experience plans. Yeah, but so we're just under Sachi and Sachi, and we're operating under Sachi and Sachi. So
Right. So they also utilize world-class UX processes, integrating design, thinking, UX research, and strategy, with lean prototyping and agile sprints. This, together with a deep understanding of their clients' goals and business initiatives, culminates in the creation of human-centric designs and applications. So let's listen to them, and then questions after.
awesome.
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
So, I'm Nica.
And I'm Jelvin. Yeah. So raise of hands here. Sino mga designers dito? Designers. Yeah. Taas ng kamay. Developers. Yeah. Okay. So for those who aren't developers and designers, okay lang malaman kung sino kayo. Like for example, si Sir. Ano po yung work mo?
Full stack web developer.
Oh, developer. Okay. So other than a developer and a designer, yeah, you are a developer. Okay. Wait. Parang rephrase yung question. Those who aren't developers and designers here, please raise your hands.
I do design also.
Yeah. Okay, mga malulupit. Okay. So hello. Hi, we are Make, and we are na-mention namin kanina is we are an innovations and user experience company. So we deal with a lot of projects. So this is a picture of our team. So
Back in November.
yeah, back in December. Pero nadagdagan na kami ng mga developers. So ito na sila. di pa kasi kami nakakuha ng group photo. Yeah. So
We're growing.
lumalaki na. So from left to right, it's Dex, Ryan, CSJ, Christian San Jose, if you guys are familiar with him, Eugene, Nica, Regine, Riel, Jessica, Venus, ako, si Nico, who is also here. He's our lead, and Jeremiah, one of the developers. Yeah, so that's our team. And basically what we do is, just to show lang yung process namin, this is just a checklist of what we do. And some of the projects that we do really don't, minsan yung iba dyan di kailangan. So this is more of a checklist type of thing. So if there are things that we need to follow when it comes to kicking off the project, parang meron na kaming reference to go to. So these are the usual stuff that we do. So one of the major things that we do is UI, we do a lot of wireframing, brainstorming, prototyping. Yeah. So next is just to show some of our clients lang. So we've done projects for Smart, SMBC, Carrier, and Cyberzone. But one of our major clients is Cebu Pacific. Sino dito ng mga nakita ng article namin sa Cebu Pacific? Yeah. Si Nica pala yung nagsulat. So, if you guys want to check out the article that we made, it's in blog.make.technology. Tama. So, yeah. So, brief run through of what we are going to do is parang i-explain na namin yung sinulat namin sa article. Yeah. So, some of our projects that we've done for Cebu Pacific is flight disruption. Just to briefly explain what flight disruption is. So when Cebu Pacific approached us, they wanted us to recreate the user experience and UI designs to improve the flight disruptions and the web and mobile interface. So what this means is that kapag, for example, there's a change in the flight and naka-receive ka ng email. One of the many complaints that they receive as feedback is the content is very misleading, and some of the stuff that they send to customers, it's not actionable. So parang natatakot yung ibang customers, and one of our tasks is to actually improve that. And if we look at the before and after, is sa left yung before. So this is an example of an email that you might receive back then. And if you can see the typography, parang sobrang web 2.0, very old school. Parang hindi umusad, kumaga. And one of our tasks is to like not only improve the content, and also we also make it more actionable. So if you look at the left side, parang where do you see the links? Parang may click here, pero parang hindi siya actionable. Kasi parang, di ba, nag-blend siya dun sa text. But if you see the stuff here, the highlighted information, like the important information is highlighted. So, for example, the original flight and the usage of the flight. And also, what would we do with this? Do we change the flight, or we just book another ticket? So we made it more actionable. This is call to action. Yeah, another sample is when we get to the site. So this is the user interface for the old one, and the new design is something like this. Yeah. And another project that we've done for Cebu Pacific is they wanted us to design and create an experience for the kiosk. So you might see one of these in major terminals around mga sub-terminals natin dun. So baka makita nyo siya. So what do we want to do here in kiosk? So this product is actually Cebu Pacific's way of introducing those people who are used to yung mga analog ways of booking a ticket, yung babayad pa sila dun sa travel agency or something. And they wanted to introduce those people into online. Basically, one of the target users that they wanted to tackle is yung mga naghihinayang kapag nagbo-book sila online. Parang di pa nila trust yung online experience. So this is one approach that we've done. So basically, what we did is to just emulate what's already in the market, which is their app, and just translate it into something that's larger. So that's one of the things that. So it started from the existing app, then we made some wireframes, and then eventually translated into something that we might see in a tablet. Yeah, so these are some of the pages that we designed for the kiosk. It's not the entirety of the product, but most of the major pages are here. For example, if you want to book a flight now or book a flight for the next few hours while you're waiting in a terminal or something, and like choosing the dates and like the flight list. Yeah. And so with all of the projects that we've done, Cebu Pacific decided to hire us again for another project, and this time it's us being a consultant for the UI and the UX. So UX of their products, and yeah. So we after signing off the contract, so we started off with functions bit by bit, yung mga pinapasa sa amin na tickets na kailangan gawin, kailangan improve yung user interface or yung UX. And then everything eventually piled up. This is an example of the Kanban board that we have. So one of the things that happened during the project was everything kind of piled up. And parang paisa-isa naming tinatackle yung mga tickets, yung mga designs na kailangan gawin. And eventually, there was a point in time na so parang hindi siya ganun ka-organized na. So, we decided to make a design library. So, to briefly explain what a design library is, A design library is a collection of guidelines and standards that describe a design system, and dun pupunta yung mga assets. So basically, every component, every part of the UI design, every bit of stuff that we made, nandun sa library. So what does a design library do? So it creates a consistent list of all the products that, all of the components that we've had, and it's all for organization and also documentation. And one of the most important things in the design library as well is if a new designer comes in, mas mabilis makuha yung context of the whole project. Kasi nakikita mo lahat ng mga components dun. And I will pass.
So, just to survey, sino sa inyo naka-encounter or naka-try na gumawa ng design library? No one? Or like UI kit? Sometimes we also call it UI kit. So as Jelvin mentioned, design library is supposed to create a standard or a set of guidelines for your design system. Okay, so may misconception when creating design libraries na you do it at the start. No, design libraries usually comes after maka-design ka na a couple of screens. After you design a couple of screens, after a couple of pages, mapapansin mo like, oh, this header should be the same with that header, and that button should be the same with that button. Font size should be the same. So that's the moment when you start to create your kind of elements. And that's the moment you start creating your design library. It's not a linear process. It's something that babalikan mo siya every now and then and keep updating it. So we have in our design library or in our UI kit, interchangeably, we have 3 layers of assets. So meron tayong identities, elements, and components. If you're familiar with Brad Frost's atomic design, medyo dyan siya inspired. So yung identities yung atoms, elements is yung molecules, and then components is yung organism. Yeah. So yeah, we'll start with identities. Usually your identities are composed of text, fonts, colors, and icons. So ito yung brand. This is the basis of your brand design guidelines. Ideally, you'll get them from your client if they already have a brand guideline. And defining your identities, defining the colors, the icons, the typography, will allow you later on to be able to brand such interactions. So consistent siya kahit nasabihin mong print ni client to digital, it still looks the same. So, wait, I'm not sure. Well, for us, yun, Cebu Pacific gave us their branding guidelines. So that's where we based off our design system. Okay, so elements, once you have your identities, yung elements nyo, that's when you put 2 or more identities together to create something that's functional. So elements basically has something, para meron na siyang ginagawa, like a button or a form or a data output. And usually, dyan na kayo maglalagay din ng hierarchy. So for example, dito, blue button and gray button, what's the difference? Then you'll start to define in your system. That's when you start to create na in your guidelines. So after you design your elements, usually makikita nyo na yan, nagawa nyo na yan, you'll notice that you're starting to pile up parang different elements in the same way, and you kind of use it in the same, in the same set of screens, but not throughout. Sorry, one point I missed sa elements. Elements are meant to be reusable, portable, and you can just drop them everywhere you need it. So, hindi siya contextual in a sense, or hindi siya kailangan distinct to, like a component is. So, halimbawa, gagawa ko ng bagong screen, elements should be there, components not necessarily. Yun yung pinaka-main difference sa components. So, components, yan na yan. Yung elements mo, you start to put them together, you start to add the background, you start to add this and that and more details. And then you use it on a couple of screens. They're distinctive in the way na depende siya sa product. Common examples of components are your headers, modals, mga recap, mga error, ganon. Components na yan. You don't use them everywhere, but you use them more than once. And it's dependent niya. So sometimes ito, you won't find it in a website, but your website will have different components. Okay. So yun yung tatlo. Just to brief background on naming conventions, kasi on our team we use Sketch. So once we have a UI kit, we have a naming convention for how we name our symbols. So ang pinaka-basis namin is for symbols is the first one. So who uses Sketch? Wala. Sa Sketch kasi, meron silang parang subfolder. So that's the slash. So when you put it in the slash, you're grouping the same things together. So later you'll see yung application niya. But when we name it, it's usually type and then category and then yung modifier. Sample yung sa color, primary, and then blue. And then the second one that you see, that's how we name our text styles. So a while ago dun sa identities, naka-naming convention na siya. Ganyan kami mag-ano. So it's category, font weight, alignment, and then color. So dyan siya hahanapin kapag nagde-design ka na. Paano mo siya hahanapin. Sa icons, we're still experimenting on how to name or organize icons. But right now, we're using alphabetical order. So for example, I'm looking for a left arrow na ginagamit ni brand na to. I'm gonna go icons, A, arrow, gano'n. So, yung library manager namin, kaka-organize niya, kaka-ayos niya ng icon library namin. She was able to come up with this sort of icon guide. So, if we need to find something, usually we use this as reference. So, that's how we name and that's how we create and update our design libraries. The beauty ng design libraries is that, and ng abstract and sketch, is that mabilis mag-collaborate and mag-integrate lahat ng changes. So if you're not familiar with abstract, it's a version control way of managing your sketch files. Para halimbawa, 3 kaming designers sa isang project. That works. So if somebody creates a change sa UI kit namin and I'm working on one file, na-apply siya. Like this. So pag may nagkaroon ng change, makikita mo sa taas na library was updated. And then you'll see all the changes. And then, when you click update symbols, mag-update yan lahat. So, yun yung beauty ng design libraries. Yeah. And abstract and sketch. How the library... Nadali pa. Ay, sige, okay lang. So, how we use this library, once we have the library, now we have almost like, sabihin natin, 95% of your elements and you need to create new screens. It's very easy to transition from mga sketch nyo to a high fidelity kasi we already have all the elements. So, ganyan na lang siya. You put the header there, you put whatever you need, yan, background, adjust, then put the boarding pass, parang simplified version. Pero, it's very easy, diba? Parang from your sketch na, okay, may button dito, may button doon, mabilis na lang to translate it to hi-fi. So, and then, consistent siya. You don't have to worry about it having the same shade of gray, same shade of blue, kasi same na siya lahat. You have the same basis. That's how you use it. Okay, so, next, maintenance. Of course, there will be times na when you're designing, hindi lahat ng elements will be answered by your design library. Sometimes you have to create new components, and that's okay. So what we do is that either end of the week or end of the sprint, we go back kung ano yung mga ginawa naming bago or not consistent with the library, and then we normalize or we align. Like, pwede ba tayong mag-adapt ng existing patterns? If not, and we're gonna create it, where do we put it? Where do we reuse it? So that's how you maintain and keep your design library alive. Project roles, last na. There are 3 project roles, mainly sa project namin with Cebu kasi we mostly do para UX than UI. So the first one is interaction designer. It's usually the person in charge dun sa flow. So, siya yung mag-iisip if there's a problem, parang sabihin na sinupak na. Find other ways to make the check-in process better. So, yun. Gawa siya ng flow. How is it now? How can we improve it? So, siya yung mag-explore ng mga different processes of that. Not necessarily creating UI, pero mas overall, yun yung focus niya. Next is the visual designer. So, si visual designer, so once nakuha na ni sketch, yung mga sketches ni interaction designer, siya na maglalagay ng components. Siya yung mag-determine, do we need new components? Tapos, siya rin mag-explore other ways na pwede ma-improve yung work ni interaction designer. Kasi sometimes, lumalabas lang yung solution pag nandun ka na. Or lumalabas din yung bagong problems pag nandun ka na. So, yan yung work ni visual designer. And then, si library manager, so siya yung separate person that manages our library. Since it's a really huge library, kailangan naman ng different person para mag-focus lang on making sure that everything is consistent. At yeah. So, pag merong bago, siya yung nagde-determine. Like, where can we align this? Tapos saan natin siya lalagay? Yun ang job niya.
Okay. May mga tanong pa kayo so far? Ano naman? Wala. Okay. Good. So, with creating a design library, there's actually ang daming processes na kailangan consider. So some of the things that we'll mention next, these are the backbones, like the tools that we use, like the processes that we do in collaboration with Cebu Pacific. So, is anybody familiar with Figma? Figma? Nobody. Okay. So just a brief brief description of what Figma is. Figma is a collaborative design tool. It's kind of like Sketch, but it mainly deals with user interactions, user flows. Recently, they've been upping their game with prototyping as well. So one of the major things that really got us into using Figma is the collaborative function the collaborative functions that it has. Back when our lead Nico was still alone in the team, alone. I think that's the wrong word. Yeah, sole designer in the team. Yeah, we had two interns in sa batch natin na wala silang Mac na machines. So we had to do some compromises. So Figma is not just used on Mac machines. It's also available in Windows. But mainly, it's actually it can be open in the web browser. So technically, kahit saan pwede mo siyang gamitin. So ano pa ba? And considering our setup with Cebu Pacific, we needed to use this as well so that the people there can easily comment the stuff that we design. Like kapag may changes, nagagawa namin kaagad. So like isang kwento namin is nung nag-meeting kami tapos may pinapagawang changes, like on the dot, pinapalitan kaagad siya, which is very fun kasi napapalitan siya kaagad. So makikita natin kung ano yung mga comments nila. So this is what one of our boards look like in Cebu Pacific, and this is just
the first version of the kiosk. First version of the kiosk.
Yes. So this is the earliest version of the kiosk. If you baka kasi namin i-share, pero if you can see the board that we have right now, isipin nyo 3 times neto for just one board. And this is like the earliest version of our design library in Figma as well. And eventually, the project got so big that we had to shift our focus on a better tool, which is Sketch. So mentioning one of the difficulties that we experienced with using Figma is the sorting and finding components, reusable components on Figma, which is something that they're lacking right now. It's not that hard, pero minsan hassle lang siya. So, yun, when the project got bigger, so we use Sketch. Yun. Sa mga di nakakaalam ko ano yung Sketch, Sketch is kind of like a beefed up Figma. It's kind of like a hybrid of Photoshop and Illustrator, where we mainly do screens there, user interactions. Sometimes I would use Sketch to make icons. So one of the biggest considerations that we had when it comes to using Sketch is we had this incoming project that we thought that would, like, we kind of predicted that it will blow up. So we used, we decided to use Sketch instead of Figma kasi yun nga, going back to what I said, parang hirap mag-sort ng stuff dun sa Figma. So, ayun. And what Nica mentioned a while ago about abstract is you can set up a UI kit file. This, if you guys can see this, this is a UI kit file where it houses our design library. So, like what, this is how we sort our stuff. So, as you can see, like what, again, Nica mentioned, yung identity, yung elements, components, and all those other intricate stuffs that...
Hindi pa siya tapos yun.
Yeah. It's a...
Work in progress.
It's a ongoing work in progress. Ongoing na nga, work in progress pa. Yeah. And one of the reasons why we use Sketch din is because you wanted to do prototyping. Ipapasada lang namin ito na mabilisan. So, one of the advantages of using Sketch is that if you want to import the designs that we have, especially the components that we designed in Sketch, to other prototyping tools, makukuha natin siya kaagad. And just to briefly run through the prototyping process, this is an example of a test script that we have when it comes to doing prototypes. Just to briefly run through, for example, sino pa nakapag-user testing na dito? User testing, yeah. Usually pag user testing, diba, gumagawa tayo ng mga test cases that the user needs to achieve so that designs pass. So these are the stuff that we need to do. And yeah. One of the prototyping tools that we use is Framer. So just briefly describe what Framer is. It's a prototyping tool, mainly code-based siya. As you can see, so my lines of code here, it's actually CoffeeScript. Very easy to get into, especially if you're a designer who knows how to code. And if you're a developer who knows how to design, this is like one of the best tools that you can use. Yeah. Yeah, sharing. We have an article written by Nico here, so if you guys want to check it out, it's in blog.meetup.technology. Just search for building your prototyping arsenal. Yeah. So when it comes to onboarding, I mentioned a while ago that it's important for us to have a design library so that when a new designer that comes in, mas madali sa kanya mag-onboard sa process. Hindi na niya kailangan mag-ulit-ulit ng ibang bagay. For example, nagde-design na si bagong designer ng isang button. May button na tayo for that. Just go to the library. So one of the work in progresses that we have is this document, which is our Figma playbook. So these are some of the di naman strict guidelines, some of the checklists that we try to do when it comes to collaborating in Figma. So yeah. Ayan. So one point that we want to mention as well is meetings and handoffs. One of the advantages of having a design library is we strip away the time of us doing designs. So hence, we strip away the time doing screens. And with that, plus prototyping, parang nababawasan din yung time natin sa meetings for feedback and all of those things. Kasi nakita nila kagad kung ano yung itsura na magiging designs. So this is InVision, one of the tools that we use as well. It's a very simple prototyping tool that you guys can use as well to present to your clients. Yan. So, dun sa handoffs, ito yung magbibigay lang kami ng links sa InVision para makita nila yung designs. Ayun. And this is for the mobile. Sobrang dali lang siya. Ayun. So, challenges. Okay. So,
two main challenges, I guess, with our project. One is we did have a lack of product knowledge, especially since they have a lot of products. Tapos hindi kami ready how the project or how big the project was going to be. So in case in our setup na make as a consultant, we should have known better and have a good base knowledge of their product knowledge of their products. One of our answers to this problem now is we now require a UI inventory at the start of every project if they have an existing product. So that's our answer to that. Unfortunately, we were only able to do a UI inventory recently. So parang ganyan siya. Yan yung overview of what our UI inventory with Cebu Packs right now. Who's familiar with an UI inventory? Familiar naman, everyone. So yeah, that's their existing UI inventory. We would have done it much sooner had we known how big the project was going to be. It would have been better on our part to know what else we need to design, what else can we retain if there was going to be something. Okay, and then the next one is determining stakeholders. Although common knowledge naman, I guess, for big companies to have lots of layers of approval, we didn't anticipate those layers of approval, how it would affect our process. So, minsan natatagalan yung approval, minsan nade-delay yung pag-deploy ng mga features. So, yun. We would have adjusted our process accordingly. So, na-mention ni Jelvin kanina na sometimes yung make process that we showed a while ago, we're flexible to that. We adjust it according to the needs of the client and needs of the product. So, we should have experimented then better had we known na sometimes it's gonna be a roadblock. Sometimes lang naman. So, yun.
Okay, business learn. So, patapos na yung presentation natin. So, yeah, gist of what we guys learned with collaborating with Cebu Pack so far is as much as possible, if, for example, you guys have a huge product internally and you guys wanted to like document everything that you guys have. So it's one of the most important things to do is to make a UI inventory, which is yung na-mention ni Nica kanina, which is this. So for example, if you're a new designer who just got into a product company with a huge product and their task for you is to redesign everything, this is one of the best things that you can do. But if you guys are starting from scratch, what you guys can do is to just document everything kagad, and then find what are the elements that are reusable, na-repeat ng gamitin. So yeah, that's summary number 1. And summary number 2 is to have roles in the project, especially in the design team, to separate their roles. Kasi, for example, kung ako, gumagawa ng interaction design, gumagawa din ng components, tapos ako rin yung nag-manage ng library, parang ang sakit sa ulo, ang daming kailangan gawin. So, you have to shift your focus. So, if you guys have the privilege to actually divide the roles, please do that. Para hindi masira ng ulo yung mga designers nyo. Ayun. And then, I think this is the most important thing, is that the library is alive and as much as possible should always be updated whenever necessary. So, if you guys encounter a new element that you guys need to add in the library, it's best that you have to consider na, okay, nandiyan na ba sa library na to? If wala pa, sige, lagay natin. And if you're a team of designers, you guys really need to talk about this, especially with sorting these things out so that everyone has a scope of how it's going to be used. So, improvements. So, just briefly run through what we could have done better. So, ayun nga, na-mention yung product knowledge. Kung napasadahan namin na lahat ng pages nila, ng products nila, that would have been better in our part. Kasi yung pinakita namin dito, ano pa lang yan, like, it's just a third of the stuff that we've seen sa websites pa lang. Wala pa yung mga products nila. Wala pa yung sa apps, wala pa yung sa booking nila, wala pa yung sa mobile nila. So yun, that's improvement number 1. Improvement number 2 is to, we really in our case kasi, we're collaborating with Cebu Pacific. So, mas maraming layers of approval, like what Nica said. And if it's just an internal team, we just have to show our stakeholders the value of having something like this into the process. Yeah. And third is more of compatibility. If for example, we guys are a small startup with different designers, so baka pagpasok ng designer, may isa naka-Mac, tapos may isa naka-window, so we just need to find something that we can compromise so that we can push through with solving problems. And that's it. So thanks for having us. Mick here. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us and visit our site for our portfolio. May mga tanong ba so far? Yeah.
Paano kayo papalitan talaga ng assets?
Papalitan ng assets.
Ano share ng assets? For the development team?
Yeah. Recently, yung process namin is to import the stuff sa Figma. Yung na-mention namin kanina. Wait lang. Pakita ko lang. Figma. Yeah. So, for developer handoffs, one advantage of Figma is kapag nag-point ka doon sa isang element, makikita mo na yung padding, yung margins, everything, yung font weight, font size, yung ginamit na font. So, actually, you guys can experiment using Figma for developer handoffs. It's an ongoing process on our part for one of the projects that we're doing right now. And it's proving to be very helpful. Kasi sa Figma, makikita din yung mga states. So yung mga hover state, yung mga input states. So I think Nico has something to add.
Actually, we use two tools. Sometimes, so minsan we use Jelvin. You're familiar with that. I think we use it for only one product. Most of the time, we use Figma. Because using Figma, the developer has an overview of all the components and where it's applied. And sometimes we use Vision Spec. But the disadvantage of the Vision Spec is that the developers have where the other components exist. Or overview of that components. So when you have a design library, it's easier to hand it off to the developer. If the developer has Sketch, so far, based on our experience, the best way is letting them access.
May mga tanong pa ba? Best opportunity for those who actually don't know.
Also, was the project about and then how big
How small? So basically parang pa-isa-isang product silang pumasok sa akin. So this is how, technically ito lang yun eh. Super liit lang siya. Very manageable pa siya. Na pag maglalagay ka ng element sa isang page, madali lang kasi yung initial pages super konti lang. Okay. But how small is around sa kiosk silang pages? 40 pages. And then it varies sa ibang components. So for example, yung isang process nila, may 10 pages natin. So imagine having over 50 tickets. So
Yung abstract.
This abstract. So each one of these are tickets. Okay, sorry. Pause ko lang mamaya. Wait. We can pause. There. Ayun. So each one of these files are one ticket. So some of them contains 10 pages, at least 5. So etong sprint. So at the end of every sprint, yung ginawa namin for the past few months was to compile everything and put it into one sketch. Yeah. So started very small, tapos biglang boom.
And in case you guys are wondering what the roles mean, those are Jira roles.
Jira. Make mo kami ng Jira dito. Para lang siyang repo. Parang
So yung Kanban ko na sa
Parang tinatrack lang namin. May mga tanong. Sir.
How quickly and often do designs materialize?
Okay. That's a tricky question because we're parang nakikita ka agad sa production. That's a tricky question kasi yung setup namin with Cebu Pacific right now is sa designs, hanggang designs lang kami. And some of the user testing, kami yung nagbibigay ng approaches. In terms of development, it's still on their side. Ideal, it would have been us para boom, testing ka agad. Pero yun.
Don't have a definite answer.
Sorry.
As per the previous projects, were you able to check the information? Actually, we started the kiosk project last year. It was around July. And this May pa lang siya. So, matagal yung nga. So, different flavors of the product. And matagal siya. Then, minsan, mag-type na ng for micro-machines. So, yun yung mga. Pero, yun, project na para-launch. So, yun yung order na project sa cost. So, mag-isang siya project, and new project siya lang siya. And then, tapos na. But as for the other stuff that we did, so
Yeah, I think that if it's something other than Cebu Pacific, kunyari internal product lang siya na product mismo ng kumpanya, I think it would have been faster for I think it would have been fast. Mas mabilis yung development. Kasi pag gawa mo kagad ng design, dapat kagad sa prototyping. And if successful user testing, production, then another set of testing. So, sorry if you didn't answer.
At least for yourself, we have this ability to accurate. Yeah. Maybe say it's like, maraming mga lost in right now, the thing with the Lost project is last year, na-change sila ng orientation. So, the screens that we designed for the Lost is naka-oriented siya. And it was around this big, normal Samsung tablet. But last minute, sila na-change na yung orientation is going to be last week. Tapos parang screen siya. So, tapos na yung contract namin. So, we had no choice but to hand over the designs to the Pacific design. And that's where our playbook comes in. So, since may playbook na kami, for Figma, how we do stuff, lahat ng mga measurements namin, width, font sizes, modular scales. So, we can simply hand it over to them and based sa mga use specifications. So, yun yung naging challenge pero so far. And yun nga, part ng product namin yan is to transition ng products from main to the Cebu Pacific team. So that's why we're preparing the documentation, the design library lang, yung user experience ng design library, okay siya, maintindihan ko lang ng designers nila. So that when the time comes na we're going to design new tools, even new applications, new products, it's very, very easy.
Sorry pa, hindi namin kaya sagutin yung development question. Yeah. May matanong pa ba? Yeah, so far, naman, you're all right. Salamat. Thanks for having us.
If you have questions for Jelvin and Nica staff, you can talk to them way even after. And we got some time, so let's quickly introduce one. So just tell us your name, what your role is at work if you have one, and what you want to learn here. And So I go first. I'm Kathy Devia. I'm one of the team leads at servicecity.com.au. So we're just a small company. We're working for this one website where all of the dev and design and actually the whole process has been offshore, the Philippines. So the website is it's an 11-year-old Ruby app. Yeah, so we use WordPress for our blog. We also have design processes. The challenge though is a little bit hard because the designers and the developers are in the Philippines, but the target users are in Australia. So we usually communicate with third-party testers just to see how the website is. So there's the website and we have an Android and iOS app also for